Ah, good. I'm ready.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of PG Comics. I'm Mark Bridge, and I'm here with Zach Wojner.
That's me.
And we are continuing with our Scott Snyder Batman saga, this time with issues 24 to 29. It's still a part of the 0 year, and this one is actually subtitled Dark City, which is ironically enough a title of Sam Raimi's movie. Was it Sam Raimi? No. That's sorry. Shit. I was thinking of Darkman, but Dark City is the other movie with the people who float in the sky, and it was like The Matrix before The Matrix came out. You remember that movie?
I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh.
I haven't seen Darkman either.
Oh, man, you should see both those movies. Those are classics, man.
I didn't want to see Darkman when I first heard about it because it looked scary. But now I want to see it because it's Sam Raimi and Liam Neeson.
Yeah, it was a superhero movie ahead of its time. I think that's the movie that got him the Spider-Man gig, pretty much.
Huh. I thought it was like a horror movie.
No, not at all. Darkman? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I totally thought that Darkman was like The Mask.
It's the
comic of The Mask.
Oh, no. It's your prototypical Batman type story.
Wow.
Well, not Batman, more like
completely was wrong.
Yeah, it's a superhero movie. It's not even close.
I remember they talked about it a lot on Key and Peele.
Oh yeah, that sketch that they did with the you see Liam Neeson's that's what you're talking about, or something else.
Liam Neeson's in Tooken.
Oh.
How hard is it to say? Best actor, Liam Neeson's Tooken.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. So so continuing with the saga, we're still dealing with year 0 or 0 year rather, and it's funny enough, the first issue in it feels like it should have been the last issue of the previous arc.
Mm-hmm. And it's like so long.
Yeah, right. And it was like, and it would have been a perfect end because it's like, it starts the what was the first? You remember the first arc was called? Bad memories.
Something City? Was it Something City?
Yeah, I think it was Something City. But anyway, the opening is with Batman sort of in his like, after the prologue, he wasn't wearing any type of costume. So this led to the last issue before this ended with him saying, "All right, I'll become a bat." So this would have been a perfect, like, now he puts the bat suit on and takes care of the Red Hood, right? And then the postscript of this episode was Riddler doing his thing, and that would have just said, "All right, that's what the next episode is gonna be technically." And then you do your Dark City storyline. I don't know what decision made, why editorial decided to make this part of Dark City instead of it being the last chapter of the previous arc. I don't know, maybe it just, by the time he thought about it, it was too late. or maybe I don't know what it
or
is.
maybe he like was like, oh, I thought this was gonna be this long, but turns out it's a little longer.
Yeah.
And that, but
Yeah.
but whatever. It does. I guess it doesn't outright confirm, but it does.
Yeah.
That
It's Joker.
It's the Joker.
Yeah.
I'm okay with there always being a little bit of ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
It has him, or Joker or Red Hood #1, I should say.
Right.
Talking about being an anarchist and a nihilist, but Batman's just like, no, I see through you. You're just saying that so that people will follow you.
Right.
You're just a lunatic.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, so it was a pretty cool issue. So what happens in this now? Batman
Gets
or
a
Bruce,
haircut.
yeah, right. I don't know if I like it.
A little buzz cut.
Very military. I mean, I guess he's going to war, so it's like, I mean, what's the point of cutting your hair, right? You're gonna have a cowl on, like.
Right. Maybe he figures it kind of gets in the way of his he doesn't want to sweat or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, this I would say this issue is like his first step towards making Bruce Wayne a part of the alter ego of Batman, where he figures, all right, there's something Batman clearly can't do, which is basically infiltrate a heavily armed facility owned by the Waynes. And why would he want to do that as Batman when he could easily do it as Bruce Wayne? So he decides to let the world know Bruce Wayne is alive, escaping death twice. Well, I guess the first time he just ran away and declared himself dead, or rather his uncle did. And the second time, he literally escaped death from the Red Hood gang. And one of the things was he needed to go to Ace Chemicals. I don't think, maybe, like, I'm still rusty on my Batman lore, but I didn't know that Ace Chemicals were owned by the Wayne Industries. I guess this is the comic that says it is, or maybe I missed it. I wasn't fully aware.
I don't know if they ever had been before, but I guess the idea is that Wayne Corp just kind of owns everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or at least has a part in everything.
Mm-hmm. So, he gathers up a press to say, hey, the Red Hood gang is planning to do something horrific, and this is the site they're going to do it at. And he gives a big monologue about why do we love Gotham, and, I can't remember everything he said, but pretty much it boils down to, we love the city and blah, blah, blah. We're going to protect it. And at the same time, the Red Hood gang attacks it, and he goes in, charging, kind of like how Bruce Wayne and Batman vs. Superman charged into the burning buildings or falling buildings. So I guess,
yeah.
Which brings me to, just on off topic. It's still on topic with the this whole series, but do you notice there's a lot of elements in this that kind of appeared in the Batman films, the Christopher Nolan movies, and this came after, sure. Like Commissioner Loeb and stuff like that, and the way was the character that oh my god, what's his fucking name? The guy who was in Blade Runner and he played his uncle.
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer. Was he playing Kane in that one? I don't remember in the Batman movie.
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember the name.
Yeah, so I was wondering if that was supposed to be Philip Kane. I mean, I can look it up now. But yeah, but a lot of elements from that movie made it here. But anyway, he rushes in and fights off the Red Hood gang. Well, first what he did was he wanted to solidify that Bruce Wayne and Batman are completely different people. And
it's like, he gets Alfred to hack into the night vision goggles,
right?
Which are connected to the internet for some reason.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like,
it's like, all right.
Did we see? Because we were trying to figure out what time period this takes place in. Did we see any kind of cell phone technology? Oh yeah, we did, didn't we? Commissioner Gordon
Yeah.
did receive a phone call on his phone, so yeah, I guess. So and then I did see the 6 years earlier situation, so I guess they're saying all the shit that happened with Batman up until present day happened within 6 years. God, I thank God the whole new DC 52 ended, because that was just a mess of a whole.
Right.
It's like, if you're gonna reboot the thing. Don't try to keep one thing, because they were like, Batman, it's like, we can't get rid of Batman's lore because people will riot, so we're gonna keep that, but we're gonna change Superman, we're gonna keep Green Lantern, but we're gonna change everything else. It's like, no, it doesn't fit. You know what I'm saying? You round hole square peg. It's not happening. But anyway, I digress. Bruce Wayne, after fooling everyone that Bruce Wayne and Batman are two different people, Bruce Wayne puts the suit on and beats the shit out of the Red Hood gang
while wearing purple gloves.
Yeah, right.
Which I know this from playing Batman Arkham Knight. Are a reference to his very first appearance as Batman in like the 30s. He had purple gloves.
Yeah. So,
which is kind of neat and silly that they included those.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually really like the suit that he wears, especially in the back half of the issue.
Right.
Where it's got like basically a big old metal plate, like an umpire's thing on the front. I thought that looked pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And a little bit DIY, but still, someone who knows what they're doing.
Oh, by the way, Rutger Hauer's character is William Earl in it, so it's not Philip Kane. But it kind of felt like it was all the same, just the added value that it's an actual uncle and not uncle in spirit, But
yeah, I actually thought that, like, instead of doing the whole, hacking into the Wi-Fi of the night vision goggles, Mary Sue stuff, that it was gonna be like, I don't know, like Philip in the bat suit or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Or wearing, Philip having been Bruce Wayne during that whole thing with like a Mission Impossible mask or something, which he wore in the first issue when he was the redhead guy.
Right. Yep.
Yep. So I thought it was gonna be a callback to that. Instead of like techno magic.
Yeah. So while he's beating up some of the Red Hood gang, and Alfred is back in the cave hacking so that they don't leave, of course Red Hood 1, aka Joker, escapes right before one of the Red Hood gang gets killed, and Bruce Wayne has a bad feeling about it, and he takes the mask off, and it turns out to be Uncle Phil.
Red Hood 347.
So he's dead, and then Bruce is like, or Batman is like, no, you're not getting away, and he uses his batarang or grappling hook, grabs the leg of Red Hood, pulls him down, big explosions, and he drops in a vat of chemicals, and there she blows.
I like the imagery of, because Philip shoots Red Hood 1, and it bounces off his his helmet, and then later Batman headbutts him, and it makes a much bigger dent.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's like all right, so you're saying that Batman's head is stronger than a bullet, but like it looks really cool. It's a great image.
Yeah.
So I approve.
So but then again, the postscript of that whole issue is the Riddler attacking, given his riddle and blacking out, I guess, the city, and says there's something much worse coming, and that leads us to the next 4 issues, rather. Is it? Yeah, 4, which deals with Batman. Well, not necessarily Riddler. He wants to figure out a way to stop Riddler, but something else is happening. Some dude with a very creepy looking face with teeth is turning scientists into, like, having their bones grow on the outside and killing them.
It's nasty.
Right? So Batman has to deal with that guy, and I guess this is like Scott Snyder's horror version of the Batman story.
Is this Dr. Death character original? Is this new to this?
Like I said, I'm not 100% versed on Batman lore, especially with the Rose Gallery. I'm familiar with a good chunk, but
I can't look at it. Oh, look at it. Oh,
yeah. He was definitely creepy. The creep factor on that character was elevated, and
that might have been my favorite issue actually of everything that we've done so far.
Yeah,
like even though I thought it was gross, like I really liked the scene with Lucius Fox, and like kind of appreciated how it was a corny cliffhanger that got resolved in the next thing.
Yeah,
where he's like, "Aha, I got you, Batman!" Stab, and it's like, "Oh, it turns out it was just a vaccine."
Yeah,
and like finding the dead bodies and gross, and like the stuff with the soldiers, which I still don't know what that's about. Right?
Oh no, it's because I was wondering that too, but I think what it is Death gave the whole speech about how, well, it was Death and Alfred both kind of gave two different backstories, and it turns out they're linked in that Alfred.
Oh, wait! Don't explain it, because when you told me not to read 28, I also didn't read 29.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I only read up to 27.
Oh, okay.
Is 28 in yours?
It is, but it's like after the year 0.
Yeah, it was like a separate thing, and so I thought that final act started with 29, so I haven't read 29 yet.
Yeah, 29 is the the
finale of this arc.
Yeah. So
okay, so we can stop before that, right?
Sure, I guess. I mean, that's like the all right, sure, I guess.
Well, it works thematically with 24 being the finale of the last arc.
Okay, sure. So I guess I gotta retitle this 24 to 28 then.
Yeah, on the YouTube version.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. So I was saying, what was I saying? Right. So
yeah, I think that backstory, those speeches that you mentioned, I think they come later. I don't think that they're in mine, right?
Well, the Alfred thing you should have probably read, where Alfred was basically talking about, you're punishing us, like, why are you?
Oh yeah.
And he basically told the story of the military, how Phil was about to find him, and he basically, it's actually 3 backstories. It's Phil telling a story, Alfred telling a story, and the main bad guy telling a story. All 3 are linked in somehow. So I won't tell you how it's linked to Death, since you didn't get to that part. But the first 2, so Phil tells a story about how he, and I don't think it was in this arc, but he in the previous arc he did tell that he was trying to find Bruce, and he did all he could to try to find him.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Then Alfred tells a story in this arc about how we did spot you once. It was when you were being held captive by this militia group or whatever.
Yeah, we see brief glimpses of that.
Yeah,
in one of these issues that.
Yeah, and that what Alfred did was he spent his entire savings to get the message out, get basically a phone out to him. So pretty much the soldiers that you saw in this issue, I guess, were the soldiers that that almost were on him, and then something happens to the thing, and they blow up. Like the whole convoy got destroyed because they were, I guess, Alfred must have tipped them off, or the elements of what Alfred did. And I could be wrong on this, but from what Alfred did to get to Bruce to tell him that Phil is on his case, you need to get out of there, somehow reveal that these troops are after him, so their convoy got blown up.
Right, and Riddler is involved in that somehow, because the last issue I read ends with him finding that one of their helmets.
Right.
But right before the Riddler blows him up.
Well,
tries to drown him.
Something in that also has to do with Death as well.
Okay.
There's a whole big revelation that happens, and it was like, holy shit! Oh wow, okay. So I guess where are we right now? That's
Well, the other character who I is one of my favorite Batman characters who gets a lot of spotlight here is Gordon.
yes. So yeah, I was gonna touch on
All
that.
the stuff with the trench coat.
Yep.
I thought was really good about how he's so distrusting of the cops
Mm-hmm.
because obviously we're more sympathetic to Batman disliking the cops right this second.
Yep.
In real life.
Yeah.
We'll see how that balance returns, in the coming months and even years, especially in big cities like we both live in New York.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes in real life. But he the story definitely takes the point of view that cops are like the most easily corrupted institution
Yeah.
in anything.
Yep.
Every Batman story has, and every season of Arrow has a new corrupt cop. Like the entire force is revealed to be corrupt multiple times over the course of Arrow.
And to think about it, right? Like you can easily chalk that up to, oh yeah, it's the easiest thing to do in movies to have corrupt cops and not try to apply it to real world. And you think about it, right? In any position you have, whether it's a sort of stately position, military, or whatever, but anytime or corporate position, if you're in a higher position, you're easily corrupted based on the fact that you hold so much power. And then the in and outs of how things work. That's why you're there in the first place. So for a cop who are around the criminal elements most of the time when they're not home, right? It's like, okay, how easy is it for them to usurp the law if they know how the law works, right?
Yeah.
So
it's also like the in a capitalist society, all these people who they love their objectivism and their the profit motive.
Yeah.
When you're a cop who makes $400 a week or whatever, $400 a week is the phrase they use in Miami Vice. So I guess for inflation, it's probably like $700 or $800. But but you're working around these people who are selling drugs and guns and whatever for and making millions. You want a little piece of that.
Yeah.
And because you're a capitalist who believes in what do they call it? There's a qualifier that they put before it, rational self-interest.
Right.
But it's really just, it's just selfishness. More money for me at any cost. That corruption is the system working exactly as it's supposed to, which is just terrifying. And even though Batman is often cited as like a right-wing character because he's individualistic, tough on crime, law and order guy, he usually in these stories and in the movies, the first people he beats the shit out of are the corrupt cops.
Yeah.
Kind of like the same thing with all those cops wearing the Punisher skull. And what's his name? Jerry Conway, who created the Punisher, is like taking that back, appropriating it as a Black Lives Matter symbol, which is just so awesome.
Yeah, man. So
not to get political.
Yeah, hey, I mean, Batman touches on political stuff sometimes, so it's
all art is political.
Yeah, so Batman, distrustful of the law because the Red Hood said he has a bunch of cops on their payroll, and Bruce even says like even before that they were corrupt, and then Gordon kind of confirms that by like telling a story about how when Bruce was a kid and he ran away, he and the cops, he and his partner found him, was driving around town, I guess different spot, I guess they were collecting their payment money for protection,
and Gordon gets off a little bit easy by being like, I didn't know.
I mean, he probably knew. He just like, hey man, who am I to disturb shit?
Yeah, I thought they were really gonna go into like he was bad, but at some point turned around.
Right.
But it's more of, he was just completely naive and unaware.
Yeah.
But then he really, pays for it after they, sick the dogs on him.
Right.
I thought that was great. That whole sequence was one of my favorite things. I think this arc has been probably the best thing so far that we've read, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not even finished with it.
Right? Damn you, Zach. Because I wanted to talk about that last issue because it was really good. So then now we get to so we deal with Gordon telling that story, but then it comes around again. That whole story comes around again because Batman is tracking down Death. Tracks him down to a facility, and I don't remember the name of the facility, but he tracks him down to a facility, and it turns out the cops were waiting for him, knew that he was there because the Riddler pretty much warned the cops that he'll be there. Oh, and by the way, the Riddler happens to be... You read that part, right? I'm not talking about issue 29, am I?
No, I mean, I know that that he's pulling the strings behind...
Helfin or Keplin or something.
Yeah.
Whatever Death is.
Dr. Death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the killings are just a distraction,
Yeah.
or at least Riddler is using Dr. Death's, vendetta to further his own agenda. Yeah. That's how it ends with, Batman discovering that and then getting drowned.
Oh, so the stuff, I guess did you read where Batman is being attacked by the cops and he's trying to escape and he goes into...
that was earlier. I think that was in 26.
And Commissioner rescues him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so good.
Yeah, he rescues him, and that's when he
tells the story. Yeah,
all right. Because Bruce Wayne tells the story from his perspective, and he's like, particularly disliking of Gordon. And earlier, he hints at it. He's like, oh, you know what you did.
Yeah.
And because this is, I reckon, new to Zero Year or to New 52.
Right.
This extra layer to their backstory on the night of Bruce's parents' deaths.
Yeah.
How they met the day before. It actually made me think, I don't know if you cut school as much as I did, but I was never, do they not do truancy stuff? Truancy cops in New York City? Is that not a thing?
What is that?
They're like cops. I don't know if they're actual cops or if they're school cops.
Right.
Who, like, when they see kids, they're like, hey, aren't you supposed to be in school?
Oh, that. Well, I didn't go to any high school here, so...
Oh, right.
Yeah. But I know... Well, because I never really cut school. And the thing is, it's kind of dangerous to do that sometimes. Even though... No, I take that back. I did wander off a couple of times to different places with friends of mine. Never got caught, though. Going on little mini adventures in the bushes and the mountains and stuff like that, but like never. I guess now we can do it, but back in we're edging on the era of like, shit is getting really hectic. But never. But I'm sure at the time, if we were caught by cops when we were supposed to be in school, they would have said, go back to school or go home. Some situation.
Mm-hmm.
But
I never even heard of truancy cops.
Right.
Like I used to cut school all the time in Yonkers,
right,
and take the bus and the train up to the city and go to the movies at like 10 a.m.
Right.
That was like that was my senior year, basically. And I never saw or was stopped by a cop at all. Maybe I looked older. I don't know, but. The first time I heard of a truancy cop was when it was a plot point on Wayne,
right,
which is a show that I watched last year, 2019. It was a 2019 show, one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. But I had never heard of I had to look it up. I was like, "What's truancy police? Is that a real thing?" I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess maybe it's more of a small town thing."
Well, because you're trying to see if that was an issue. a thing with how the cops took Little Wayne, Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they did say it was his parents I guess the school called that Bruce Wayne isn't there because, you know, he's freaking Bruce Wayne, and they sent the cops after him because they're rich, you know. So it wasn't like, oh, who's that kid? He should be in school, and they picked him up. So I think it was more of a, yeah, that kid, he's Wayne. We need to get him back to the Waynes because they were actually waiting at the station for him.
Yeah. Well, and that whole arc with Gordon, although I like it very much, I like both sides of that story. Mm-hmm. I like Bruce's story of like, no, you're a bad cop. You know, you're wearing your fancy trench coat that you stole, you know, was protection money. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like that, and then I also like the actual justification that Gordon gives, where he's like, oh, this is what happened to me. This is why I wear the coat. This is why, you know, it brushes up a bit against, like, you don't have to explain every single character, you know, quirk.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why does he wear glasses? Oh, because my father died. It's like, all right, come on. But I thought it worked really well. I really liked the flashback with the dog fight. I thought it was very intense. Mm-hmm. But it also does a thing that I've criticized this reboot already for doing, which is kind of making you think that they're going to go in a different direction before kind of bringing it back. To be like, oh, Bruce and Gordon are going to be really different this time. Like, oh, you know, Gordon is a bad cop or was a bad cop and is like trying to atone for having been so bad. And it's like, oh, no, he was good all along. Bruce was just misunderstood.
Yeah.
It brushes up against it.
Yeah, I really did think like they were heading that direction as well. But, I mean, you know what it is. It's... And I'm actually
revolt.
Yes, and I'm actually gonna.
Not my Gordon.
I'm actually gonna do a video on that. I'm actually waiting until I finish Last of Us, to do that.
Started it yet?
But there's a thing, and I'm gonna talk more about this when I do this video. I want to say it's. I mean, it's happened for a long time, but it's just in small doses. But I will say for the past maybe 5 or 6 years now, it's become this thing where stories can't be told now unless it's told exactly how people want it to be told, where it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, really? Like, do you hear yourselves, people? Like, an author, a director, a writer can't say, hey, I'm gonna write this story, right? And it really mainly applies to sequels more than original works, because it's original work, so you know you do your thing. But then once your original work is out there and people embrace it and love it, and they're like, oh, we like that, give us more please, then you give them more. Okay, you give them the same thing you gave them the last time, they're gonna like, it was boring, it wasn't as good as first. So how do you change things up? How do you make people like the second thing that you've given them? By changing things up, right? By elevating the story, by giving them something that they weren't expecting, because like that's the point of any kind of medium or any kind of story, is like you want to keep people coming by just changing things, like throwing things there, right? And I find that I'm starting to find it disgusting when I see all these think pieces, these videos, essays, these editorials pop up everywhere about how such and such director is ruining such and such story, and I'm like, excuse me? I mean, what? Like,
yeah, honestly, I've blocked out so much of the discourse surrounding, like, not like for spoilers or anything,
right?
It's just like, I don't care, I don't want to hear it, I don't care what you think.
But the thing is, I wouldn't care, but it's starting to affect art. That's why I'm pissed off, because it's like the voices are getting louder, even if they're small amount of voices. They're fucking megaphones called the Twitter and YouTube is getting them heard to where companies are looking at these small little voices thinking they're the majority, and then sort of course correcting. And every time a company course correct, like, not every, I won't say that. I mean, I can't think of a good course correction right now off the top of my head.
I guess Sonic.
Right. Yes. That, once in a while they get it right.
Right, but that the whole problem with Sonic was that design was clearly focus tested to death. To begin with, instead of
just going
getting from the game.
Yeah.
But the example. Well, we've talked about this before. Smallville.
Yeah.
Where there were internet message boards and stuff in 2001, 2002 when that show was first taking off.
Yeah.
But nobody cared.
Yeah.
You think Tom Welling read any of that?
Yeah,
you
nobody
think
cared.
Michael Rosenbaum read that? You think whoever the show creators were, do you think they read that?
The show lasted 10 seasons with a big middle finger to the fans. Like, we don't care how much you bitch that he's not Superman yet. We're going to make him Superman on our own time. And guess what? He's going to be Superman for the last 5 seconds of that show.
and it is loved, right?
Yeah, it is. And then guess what? And yes, you're right. It's appreciated now than the time. Because I remember I was in it, right? I was around the internet at the time, as young as it was, when people were constantly bitching like, oh, when is he going to become Superman? I'm tired of this, right?
No tights, no flights.
But then a lot of people now appreciate that show, right? It's like people are binging that show and say, yo, that Smallville show was the shit back then, yo.
I like it. I mean, I've still only watched the first 10 episodes. I've been super slow on it.
Oh yeah, you love it. You're gonna appreciate it.
But I do really like pretty much every episode I've seen so far.
Like, I don't think apart from the animated Superman stuff, I'm gonna say something big here. And I think Michael Rosenbaum, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Is the best Lex Luthor out there.
He has a podcast, great podcast.
Yeah, I checked out his podcast a couple of times. I was watching this one with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and because I heard she cried on that, I didn't get to the crying part, so I wanted to.
It was the first time she was on, she was just on a week ago.
Yeah,
this was the first time she was on.
Yeah, so
I've listened to every episode. And that's actually why I started watching the show, because I was like, I love this Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything he's been in.
Yeah, right.
So I watched the episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia he was in, and I watched, and I started watching Smallville, and my 12-year-old cousin, she started watching it. She finished it in 3 months because she just fell in love with Tom Welling.
So yeah, it's this thing about how people want a certain story to be told, and it's like they're not thinking, right? They're not thinking. They do these theory crafting all the time. It's like, oh, imagine this is where it's gonna go. This is where it's gonna go. And when it doesn't go that way, it's like they're shocked. Because if it did, then the thing you would say is like, yeah, I called it. There's no surprise.
Because they want that. They want to be like, I was right. I knew it. I'm just as good as the writers of this thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, you're not. You're a guy with a YouTube and a microphone.
Right? And then, because of course correction, we get, Rise of Skywalker, right? It's like, God. Imagine if if we started doing that stuff way back when, right? Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back would just be another Star Wars movie that will be forgettable.
Or what would have happened was Yoda would go, oh, actually, Darth Vader wasn't your father. He just said that to mess with you. So you can forget about that.
Right.
And Luke will be like, oh, great.
No, but I'm talking about...
I thought I was going to have to undergo, character development or something.
I'm talking about just the attempt in the first place in terms of... he's not... George said, all right, I'm going to do another Star Wars movie, but it's not going to be like... Star Wars is going to be its own thing. As a matter of fact, was it even called Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, or was it marketed as Empire Strikes Back?
Just The Empire Strikes Back.
Right? Say it was a completely different movie.
The poster doesn't have the word Star Wars on it.
Exactly. And then if you look at Aliens, James Cameron, who's my favorite filmmaker, he got the franchise, instead of carbon copy of what Ridley Scott did, is like, I'm going to make an action sci-fi movie in space, And I love that stuff. I love that creativity. I love that elevation of a source material where you have this first movie that it's its own thing that you can watch on its own, and then when the new one comes out, it's so different that it can stand on its own. Because I actually saw Aliens first. I did not see Alien, right? Shit, as a matter of fact, I didn't even know there was a first movie to this movie.
Oh, that's funny.
Right? And then I was like, oh, wait, it's a saga? Oh, shit. Because I think Aliens 3 was just coming out at the time. There was no Aliens 4.
92, I think.
Yeah. So the first time I saw Aliens was around the time Aliens 3 was coming out. So yeah, man, like it's mind-boggling now, and I won't get into spoilers with The Last of Us, but there's so many goddamn hate videos and review bombings of this game because of like the story didn't go the way how they wanted to go. Like, and I'm still, the reason why I'm waiting for this to finish this game before I make this video is it'll be whether I like this game or not, because I like it so far, but I don't know if it's gonna fuck up somehow, and whether to include it. And even though I should include it anyway, because so far what they've done is like they're saying we're gonna make a game, a sequel to the game, and we're gonna be brave enough to do whatever you want to do, not give a shit about what you think of the first game, right? So it's like, and that's brave, and I have to commend them for that. I don't care how many people's like, oh, bitch, you know how many times I saw the videos, it's like, I'm not gonna play this game. Even to people, they're saying, I'm not gonna play this game because I heard what happened, so I'm not gonna play. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm also
done. Like, okay, don't play the game. Who cares?
Yeah.
No one cares what you play or not.
Yeah, don't play the game, but guess what? Don't make a video telling us, oh, I'm not gonna play this game because it's such and such. Get the fuck out of here, man.
They're so entitled. They think that their opinion matters, and it's like, they don't care what you think. Sony, it's crazy. Sony with their first party games, video games, they have issues with storytelling in general.
Right.
But Sony is doing with their first party games what filmmakers did in like the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing it on a bigger scale. Like in the 70s, they'd give you, $20 million and be like, come back with a movie.
Yeah.
They gave, what was it, $10 million for Alien.
Yeah.
They're just like, here's $10 million, come back with the, they wanted Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he comes back with the scariest thing, and they're like, maybe we can make a toy out of this? And it became like a infamously not marketable toy, but they still tried to sell it because post Star Wars,
right?
20th Century Fox, but they were like, all right, well, we'll just work with this. We'll try to sell as much of this as we can.
Yeah.
As opposed to, no, this isn't what we asked for. Take it back, reshoot it, get Joss Whedon in here.
Yeah.
You give your artists what you're gonna give them. Like, I don't like that. It's so funny, I'm spending this whole episode criticizing the whole, Ayn Rand, individualist, objectivism, whatever, all that stuff. But it's like, in the movie industry,
yeah,
give a guy $100 million, tell him to come back with a movie.
Yeah.
Boom, end of story.
Yep.
And hopefully, I like Zack Snyder as a director. I don't want him to waste his time and mine with the Fountainhead that he wants to make. Right. I'm not going to watch that.
Yeah, when is that supposed to come out? Probably not. I've been hearing that shit about that movie so long, and it still hasn't been made.
Yeah, so. I think he was just mad. He's like, I'm a creator, and I should make the movie I want.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make this to rebel against Warner Brothers for not letting me do Justice League. And then they're like, all right, do Justice League. Just not because we give a shit, just because we don't want to watch your 5-hour version of the Fountainhead. And he's like, all right, great.
So yeah, taking it back to the whole new DC 52, I think one of the things that failed about it is their preemptive strike to try to make things work with everyone and not piss off certain people. And yes, the whole Commissioner Gordon, that would have been a really interesting avenue to go down, right? Where in the movie he was like, he called out corruption immediately, but for some reason he just didn't do shit about it. It's like he was in between, right? So in this one, you thought he was going to be like, oh yeah, he's part of the corruption, but
Yeah.
the
There's a
way
thing
the
in
look
the
at
dark. Yeah. Oh, sorry, you go.
but the look that Wayne gives him, the little Wayne gives him, is like, shit. I guess I gotta change my ways, right? I mean, what were you about to say?
Well, kind of thinking back to the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
He doesn't confront, but he's talked to by Harvey Dent. He goes, about his whole Two-Face thing. There's a name you guys used to call me.
Yeah.
Back when I was, prosecuting dirty cops.
Yeah, yeah.
And Gordon's like, I don't know anything about that. Or it's like, really, Gordon? You're not going to take sides against the dirty cops that, this hero, cleaned up your department?
Right.
But it's like, oh, it's like a brotherhood. It's like, oh, the cops got to protect our own. It's like, ugh, fuck your own.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, just because, yeah, I know he, killed the shit out of all these black guys, but, he was our brother.
Yeah.
In arms.
Yeah. Fucking.
Whatever.
So, it's funny how a lot of shit that comes up in that applies to our reality now. But, but the story that follows that whole speech with Commissioner and the boat and stuff like that after that issue is 29, which you didn't read, so we'll hold off on that until next week. So I guess for now, what's your take on? You said the whole story is your favorite so far, Dark City.
Yeah, even though I have that criticism that's kind of been among other things, among other elements of this story, kind of the same criticism of it that reboot syndrome of reboot it but not too far away.
Yeah.
I still liked this story very much, even though it doesn't go the whole deconstruct and then reconstruct. It does fake you out. It does feel a little bit like a trick. But in this one in particular with Gordon, it was a trick that I liked very much.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw you pull the rabbit out of the hat, but well done.
Yeah.
With that rabbit, you know. So I do like it, and I thought that the bone guy is just really really looking.
Yeah.
I liked his design. I think that it works with this. The Red Hood. The fact that he shows up right after the Joker is, quote unquote born, is kind of like, oh, this is what we're going to be dealing with now.
Yeah.
I finished reading earlier this week The Long Halloween, which is very much in that same vein of, it's like, oh, this is the last chapter of traditional crime in Gotham. Now it's freak shows.
Yep.
And I'm going to be reading Dark Victory next on my own time. I hear that that's Christian Bale's favorite story, or favorite Batman story.
All right.
But
a lot of people thought that Dark Victory was sort of the story that Nolan was going to go with, elements from there. So that's why a lot of people thought that Robin, the Robin we know him as, was going to be introduced. So I guess he introduced Robin, but in his whole weird way. But because Dark Victory is sort of the origin tale of Robin. So that was a cool story. I have to read those again. I haven't read them since.
There's a lot of the Dark Knight in, or I should say, there's a lot of the Long Halloween in the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
I think that whole "I believe in Harvey Dent" is from, originates from that, right?
Yep. And I think because did it end? Like I said, it's a long time I read Long Halloween, but at the end of that was Batman not hunted, but more he's someone we got to look out for.
No, not really. It ends more on the tragic note of Harvey having been lost.
Oh yeah, that's it. That was I was trying to remember what elements of Long Halloween made it into the movie, and I guess
there's stuff
Harvey
of
Dent,
like that trinity of Batman, Gordon, and Dent, and how they kind of are like, we're gonna take down the mob by any means necessary, and it's like they do, but what does it cost them? Well, you lost Dent, and he turned into a monster.
Yeah,
and now more monsters are showing up. So good.
Right. So this is another thing I want to talk about. There's a short backup story in one of the issues. We see Harper and Cullen again.
I love them. They're my favorite.
Yes, when they were younger, because it's 0 year, and we see what their life was like with their old dad, and they're like, oh, I hate this place. I want to move. Can we move in with mom? And he's like, oh, you don't know what mom is up to. And he said, just go to sleep, and lock the door. I think that was during the blackout. That's when the Riddler caused the blackout. And Harper pretty much consoles Cullen a little bit, reminds him of a story of the time when they were in the dark first time when they lost their mom. Was it? It was like they were trying to find their grandmother somewhere.
Yeah, like they were out camping or something, and they got separated. And
give him pep talks like, "Dark is only in your head, but I'm here," and all that stuff. And while that's happening, you see how smart she is by fixing a lamp and getting it to work, and
she rigs it up to a battery.
Yeah.
And he isn't so much scared of the dark as he's scared of
what you can't
not
see.
Being and just the idea of feeling vulnerable. And so the fact that she fixes it is enough, and then he just turns it off.
And then she's
like,
she also gives a speech that even though there's things in the dark out there that could possibly hurt us, there are people out there that are looking after us. And I think this was like right around the time where the Justice League are being formed. This was, I think, a year before, either during or a year after. No, actually, they weren't formed yet, but the heroes were out there. Batman was doing his thing. I think they showed Wonder Woman. They showed some.
Yeah, they showed a lot of people who I didn't recognize. They showed like Superman, but he's like Superboy style. Green Arrow.
Oh yeah, and he looks more like Oliver Queen.
Season 4, no sleeves. The Dark Age.
So yeah, it's there's another. Speaking of which, at some point you'll see Green Arrow in Smallville.
And he becomes a regular like late in the show, right?
Right. So it's funny coming from there, where when they first announced a Green Arrow show and they mentioned the cast and whatever, right? People were upset, man. They were like,
because it was like the next season, right?
Yeah,
like the show ended in 1 year, and then Arrow started the next,
or maybe a year, like a year apart, like but it's relatively soon, and everybody was hoping that Justin Hartley is his name, I think, would reprise his role, because they love that version of Arrow, right? And they're like, why not just make it a spin-off and let him do his thing? I mean, I know why. Well, I think I know why they didn't do it that way, because that was right around the time that Batman Begins came out.
They wanted to reboot,
and they wanted to do like a darker, more edgier, because around granted how Justin Hartley did his thing. He did his thing as Green Arrow, but it existed in a world where it was very fantastical. Even though we didn't get our Superman that we wanted, it was still in a world that would reflect that Superman would be in that world. And I think they wanted to do a whole Batman Begins thing. It's funny enough how that world, Batman Begins-esque world, became the world it is now, right? With Flash and Legends of Tomorrow and all these characters. It's like, oh yeah, that whole realistic thing just is not cutting it anymore. People want superheroes, goddammit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was just, and so I don't know if Justin Hartley is probably, even more pissed now. It's like, oh my god, you skipped over my Arrow because you wanted dark and gritty Arrow. But look at how the Arrowverse is now, right?
Surprised they never, like, he never popped up in any role.
Probably was
Seems
pissed.
like a shoe-in, right?
He probably was pissed.
Maybe.
Pissed that they fucking did him dirty. And then he found a good show with This Is Us. Even though I only first watched the first 2 seasons, I haven't seen the other 2. But yeah, it's just an interesting little anecdote. So yeah, I guess.
And he was supposed to be Batman, right? Or is that just a rumor?
No. What do you mean? Well, you're not talking about the George Miller Batman, are you?
No. I mean, like, was Green Arrow in Smallville originally written
to
be Batman?
Yes.
But they were like, Batman moratorium or whatever.
Yeah, they were like, no. We are saving Batman. Batman is our cash cow. We don't want you selling that.
And it looks like that's changing finally.
But
in the last couple of years,
it's changing, but in a weird way. Right?
I mean, Batman will show up on Batwoman at some point, right?
He already has, but as Bruce Wayne, older Bruce. Well, Kevin Conroy played him.
But that was in Crisis,
right? But
that's
then
not like on Batwoman proper,
right?
Like, he's not that Batman, right?
Well,
or if he is,
he is
not
Batman
of the present.
Well, he is her Batman, because she recognized him as Bruce when she saw him, but he was just Bruce from another timeline.
Right. Yeah, they can fudge that. It's like.
But I think they've either cast him already or are looking for a cast for him for the next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if Ruby Rose had left later, and I don't blame her for leaving. I mean, she got injured really bad.
Yeah,
I think. That was something she was just like, for my health, I just can't.
You think it's really the health issue?
I think it's health and scheduling. It's probably a little more intense scheduling than she was prepared for.
Yeah.
Although, like, I bet she could have, if they really, really, really worked on it, although I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, maybe the audiences just wouldn't have accepted, oh, she's just going to be wearing the cowl for most of this episode because we're going to have her played by stunt woman.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry about it. Just don't do any close-ups. Like in Arrow season 4, there's a lot of shots where it's just like they blur the stuntman's face. And it's weird. In season 4 specifically, I think maybe season 3 as well, but season 4 especially. And then afterwards, they're just like, all right, this is more distracting than actually seeing the stuntman's face. So just let him see his face. It's fine. Like we're okay with that. We know, Stephen Amell's not doing everything.
Yeah, but he did a lot. Though.
he did a lot.
So yeah, they're slowly changing the whole Batman philosophy, and they Titans had Bruce Wayne. It's like they're giving us Bruce Wayne, but not Batman. I think there's, and what the funny thing is, this is how life is just weird. I think Batman, the character, is better suited for television than the movies. And the reason why I say this is that a lot of Batman's best stories are not necessarily about him fighting a big event, facing off a big event, but something more personal, something that is more noir style, hard-boiled detective story, and it's very and it goes deep into issues with not only about Bruce or Batman and his place in the story in Gotham, but sometimes they'll touch on the villains and just how their relationship with Batman affects the whole entire narrative, right? And I feel like when you are doing a Batman movie, you kind of have to think of it as an event film, right? And I would say the one drawback with Christopher Nolan's Batman movies is that they felt bigger than Batman. If I don't know if you get what I'm saying, it's like,
well, yeah, especially in The Dark Knight, the the secret of why I like The Dark Knight is that it's a movie starring Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent.
Right.
And then Batman and Joker are also in it.
Right. You know, so it's like, and then, you know, even when you get to Dark Knight Rises, right, it's this big epic movie. It's like every Batman movie had to elevate, get bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but that's not Batman, right? And you never had that issue, that kind of issues in the issues of comic books. You know, no one was complaining that, oh, issue 613 is just like a small little story, and when the last issue had him facing off against a goddamn nuclear bomb, like, come on, where's the escalation here, right? No, people were expecting that arc, right? And that's why I think his character would lend itself to a great television show, a great HBO television show. Imagine that, right? Because Warner Brothers owns freaking HBO. Like, why not do a fucking...
It could happen.
You know,
starring Michael Keaton next year after The Flash.
Right? I don't know, man. It's just I felt like they had millions of opportunity to get a great, you know, some great mileage out of the Batman character instead of waiting every 2 to 3 years to reboot the character and tell the same stories. Like, okay, if you look at all the Batman movies that have come out throughout the years, right, including the Adam West ones, right, you've seen the same villains over and over, right? Like, you've seen Bane twice, believe it or not.
He was white both times.
Right? Ugh. And you fucked up Bane twice. Well, you know what? I like Tom Hardy, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I don't dislike the Tom Hardy version.
I'm not gonna shit on this. Yeah,
it's just shitty whitewashing.
Right? You know what I mean? Like,
same as Benedict Cumberbatch.
You kind of, right? You kind of like, you know, skipped over one of the greatest parts of that storyline. You know, but I did like his Bane. But in any effect, you saw Catwoman 3 times by 3 different characters. Well, 4. Because you have Eartha Kitt, I think there was somebody else in the 60s, right?
Eartha Kitt, Lee Merriweather, and Julie Newmar.
Yes.
Although Lee Merriweather was only in the movie.
Right. But so then let's count the movies. You know, we're doing the movies here. So her, then you had Catwoman again in Batman Returns as Michelle Pfeiffer. I think. I mean, we're not gonna count the Catwoman movie. Let's skirt over that.
Never seen it. I loved Halle Berry's hair in it, though.
Yeah, you know, and that's so funny, right? It's like
they come back,
right? They change. I think around the time they like Catwoman eventually looked like Halle Berry at some point in the comics.
Oh boy!
And it's coming back around because now they have Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman with the short hair, which was inspired by Halle Berry.
Genius.
Right?
Let her back. Get Halle in there.
Right?
Why not?
Nah,
put her in the Snyder cut.
She says she'll never ever do that again. But anyway.
Yeah, Ben Affleck said that too.
Right.
Twice.
So then, but I was saying, bringing back to Batman, like, if you look at all his movies, if you were to sit someone down and watch all his movies, you will never see a brand new villain that the comic books introduce. Even like villains that's been around for a long time. Like, I mean, I'm surprised Ra's al Ghul made it, but we didn't get the Demon's Head Ra's al Ghul. We got the
economics.
Yeah, right.
Economics was our weapon.
Right.
All right.
Well,
but you do get that in Gotham. They got Pig in Gotham.
That's what I'm saying. It's Gotham,
and the Arkham.
Gotham shows you that you could make a great Batman series. Is the problem with Gotham is it didn't know what it wanted to do. Where in the first season, it's another Smallville situation, right? Where Smallville started and they said this will be the definitive story of how Superman becomes Superman, the Superman that you know in the comic books now, the Superman that you've been watching in the movies. This will be his origin tale, right? And then halfway through the entire 10 years, they said, yeah, screw it, it's an Elseworld story. It was like, because they already kind of shift things around too much, it was just not going to happen, right? They said the same thing about Gotham. Gotham will be the year one that you've always wanted to see. It'll lead into the Batman that you know and love, right?
It's like year -10.
And it's like, all right, yeah, it's just an Elseworld story. Don't worry about it. And then that was one issue with Gotham. And the other was like, they really wanted to do a Gotham Central type story where it was like just the gritty, it's just pretty much a procedural that's set in Gotham. Yeah, right? Which was a good idea, right? You just do this procedural that's set in Gotham, and you know, something to compete with, you know, Law and Order and all those shows, CSI and stuff like that.
Right. I think for ratings, they kind of had to bring in the more supervillains sooner, right?
Yeah.
Sooner than they wanted.
So it's just like, and then that kind of like shift things around. So it's like, yeah, it's Batman on TV, but not Batman on TV.
One day it'll happen.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Like, the animated series.
I think version of that. Yeah, I think they still see Batman as a big screen material. Yeah, they're not ready to dilute that franchise yet. I think you have to have at least one flop before they realize. Because look at Superman, right? They're not scared to throw that motherfucker on TV like left, right, and center, right? They don't care, man, because they don't see Superman. Superman is their fucking icon.
I know, but they don't know it. They don't realize it because they don't think that they can sell him to internet. They don't think they can sell him to China.
Like, Marvel is willing to go to bed with Sony just to get Spider-Man in their movies. You think if they had Spider-Man, they'll be doing all types of shit with him, throwing him here and there? I mean, sure, they'll put him in games, they'll put him in stuff, but like, they'll keep Spider-Man in one cohesive vision instead of like, all right, we have maybe Henry Cavill over here, we have Tyler, I forgot his name.
Sephiroth.
Yeah, he's a great Sephiroth, by the way. I love him.
I like him too. My brother doesn't like him, but
you know, he's a great Sephiroth. But you have him over there, Superman. You know, you have the cartoon Superman, which I guess doesn't count. But yeah, but like, they're willing to do all types of shit with you had the Superman that showed up in freaking Crisis. Even though I do love him. I do love Brandon. I do love him as Superman. I actually watched that movie the other day too. It was pretty good.
I'd like to watch that again.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was like, oh man, it's a shame it didn't get a sequel to that. Even though it's directed by
Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Oh yeah, that's right. But that's what I'm saying. Was it? No, because it feels.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
The Crisis. You did?
Yeah,
I thought you saw it.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, because the way how they were playing it is that version is the Kingdom Come Superman. He had the same S on his chest. He had the gray streak
outfit, but I think Brandon Routh personally was playing it like it was his same version.
Okay.
I mean, you saw it, right?
Yeah, but he played it more serious than he did in the movie version. I mean,
well, 10 years, 15 years later,
there's something that happened that would make him change, but I guess. I mean, it never.
People change.
Yeah.
Except, and then in comic books, when they change too much, they have to reboot them again.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
It's the business.
George Martin said that because he loves Fantastic Four. As a matter of fact, he loved it so much. When he was younger, his letter actually made it into one of the issues.
George Martin?
Yeah, George R.R. Martin.
Oh, George R.R. Martin. I thought you said George Martin.
Yeah, I didn't want to say the R.R. too much. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I couldn't bother with the R.R.
George Martin was a big Fantastic Four fan.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He loved Fantastic Four. So one day someone asked him if he would ever write for Marvel, write a Fantastic, and he said, well, he actually said the issue he would do, even though he loves Fantastic Four, he said he would do Doctor Strange, but the Marvel he would have to be in his contract that whatever he does in Doctor Strange cannot be retconned. Because when characters die in the comic books, they can bring him back, and he's like, if I take over Doctor Strange, once I'm done with that and leave however state I leave it in, is the state that it's going to be in from now going forward. Forever hold their peace.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Because Marvel is quick to turn shit around, man. Like, they did Grant Morrison dirty. Like, he did something at the end of his run, and I shit you not, his body was not even cold in the grave yet. As soon as he left, issue number motherfucking 1 of the issue that follows him retconned everything he did. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah, it's funny because that's what the DC comics. I mean, that's what all the comics do.
Yeah.
But that's fortunately so far what the movies haven't done.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because they're gonna. WandaVision is gonna have Paul Bettany. And they're gonna have all these alternate universe characters.
Yeah, I mean, alternate universe. I wouldn't consider retconning. Is more of like a cheap way, to bring things back. But it's not retcon.
Loki, in the Loki show.
Yeah.
It's Loki from 10 minutes of Endgame.
Yeah, and I think doing it that way, you can at least have a very interesting story come out of it. Come out with the Loki. Come out with the Wanda. I think the MCU will stay the same until Kevin leaves, and whoever takes over is probably gonna retcon a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, and it's like we don't have, we didn't get, let's recast Robert Downey Jr. with a younger actor so that he can play him for the next 20 years.
Yeah,
like, no, you kill him, and then you have people wondering how they're going to fill that void and have that be the next arc.
Yeah, but even their retcon, once they retcon the movies, is gonna be carefully retconned. Yeah, they're not gonna recast Iron. No matter how, they're not gonna recast Iron Man. It's not gonna happen. Because RDJ did such a great job. Though even 10 years from now, they'll probably still have a hard time getting people to accept another one. Because recasting him, you would have had. And I think we spoke about this. In order to get people used to it, you probably would have had to did that after like the first Avengers or something like that to get people used to. But
we talked about it many years ago after Iron Man 3 when they weren't sure if he was going to be back. Yeah. And it's like, no, you don't retcon, you don't go back, you go forward.
Yeah.
So just go forward.
So we'll see what they do. I don't know if Kevin wants to do another 10 years of Marvel.
Yeah, what else is he gonna do?
Right. I mean, I don't know. It's like these execs, they seem to either get forced out because of bullshit that they do because of power, or they want to challenge themselves and they get better offers. But I mean, I know he loves comic books and I know he loves Star Wars. So, like,
I mean, to be honest, he's just hitting his stride at Marvel. Like,
exactly.
He's ready now. Like, even though I feel like, we're never going to get another Endgame, like, phase 4 and 5 is not going to try to do another Endgame.
Yeah, but you know what though? I mean, I would say that, right? I would say we'll never get another Endgame. But because I'm a Marvel fan in terms of the comic books, and I know just how fucking amazing it can get, and when I tell people, like, when they say, "Oh, how can you top Endgame?" I say to people, and as dope as Endgame is, it hasn't even scratched the surface of what's in the Marvel comics, right?
Galactus.
I'm not even talking about even Galactus. Dr. Doom. Yes, Dr. Doom.
Norman Osborn.
There's the real version of Apocalypse, not what that shitty Bryan Singer did to him.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. There's Dr. Doom. There's Apocalypse. There's Magneto, because because you can still do.
It's gonna be tough to replace Ian McKellen.
I mean,
they're gonna have to go younger.
The thing is that's the thing. That's the thing. Michael Fassbender did a great job as Magneto as well. He's just been in shitty movies, but he did a great job.
Wait another 20 years until he's old.
Right. Actually, the person who would make a perfect Magneto, and guess what? He's still young enough / old enough to do it.
Harrison Ford.
Nope. Liam Neeson.
Ah.
He would make a great Magneto.
I could see that. They got to get Harrison Ford in one of these. He hasn't done a super. He's probably like,
no,
fucking superheroes.
Nah, that guy is a little.
I hate this shit.
He's a little bit too grumpy. It seems that the only thing he's not grumpy about is Indiana Jones for some reason. I don't know why. I mean,
because he gets to play himself.
Okay.
God, I love every Indiana Jones movie. You heard me.
Yeah, it's just like he just loves Indiana Jones. He'll do 50 of them if he can, but like Star Wars, please kill me. Even the movies, the big genre films he's in is like, yeah, man, it's whatever. It's a paycheck, bro. What do you want from me?
Anchorman 2.
So yeah, man, like Endgame, great movie, but I think it can be top. And I think the fact that Kevin has gotten the toys that he never had before because of the Fox acquisition, maybe new life has been in him now. Like, holy shit, now I can fuck with Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
I think we're going to see a lot more long-form storytelling. Right. Like, as great, they say, oh, Thanos is the culmination. Yeah, he's the culmination. Mm-hmm. How many movies was he in? Like 3. And how many minutes of those movies was he in? 3.
Yeah.
Until Infinity War.
Yeah.
I've told this story a million times, but I didn't even, no one knew who he was when they saw Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you did, but like no regular viewer, no non-nerd knew who he was. When I saw it at a press screening, I thought that he was like a temp. I thought he was like a placeholder. I was like, oh, they don't want to spoil, Red Skull. They just threw that guy in there. And like I remember leaving the press screening and someone being, was that Darkseid? And I was like, oh, they're never gonna put Darkseid in a movie. And I was right.
Well, 2021.
They're never gonna put him in a theatrical movie.
Yeah, I know. Boom. So yeah, I think Kevin Feige, his next opus that he's working towards is Secret Wars.
Flashpoint.
What? That's DC. Get away with that.
Whatever. Quicksilver can do it.
He's trying to get to Secret Wars. But yeah, I think we've talked enough now. It's hour and 18 now. Cool discussion. Too bad we didn't get to talk about issue 29, but yes, we'll talk about issue 29. There. We should talk about issue 29 because I like how that story tied into, and I think that's another smart thing Scott Snyder did in sort of this. It wasn't in your face. It's not, the way how the past stuff happens. It's easily missed. If you're not paying attention, you could just easily read over it. But the story that Phil tells Bruce, and it's funny how each of them told Bruce the story, right? So it's like Bruce is hearing these 3 different stories from 3 different people that's connected, that has to do with him, and it was like, holy shit, that's crazy.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah. So the next. Fuck, my book is over there. I can't. We're doing.
Well, the next thing is to the end of 0 Year, right?
Yeah, Savage. I think is the final arc. Do you have any interim issues?
We got 28, which is that Eternal thing.
Well, we're gonna skip that until after Year 0 is finished.
Okay. Well, I'll read it just because it's next.
Yeah.
But 0 Year, final act, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, and then 34 looks like Eternal. So
right.
So 33.
Right.
Yeah, 33, 0 Year, part 13, finale.
Yeah. So we're gonna tackle that. I think it's called Savage City, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
When it's Joker War, I'm talking to someone in the chat. Joker War. I don't know if Scott Snyder did that story. I'm still reading his story, so I don't think he touched that. We're just going through Scott Snyder's Batman, which ran from issue 1 to 50 with some throwaway issues thrown in, like Eternal. I think he did the first issue of Eternal. I don't know if we're gonna even deal with that, because there's a Batman Eternal comic book, and I guess 2028 was the backdoor pilot for that.
Well, I'll read it, and then I guess I'll look it up on the wiki.
But I mean, it's part of the collection, but it comes after they put it after the year 0. So I guess that's how he means for you to read it. It came in issue 28 because they were, Eternals had to come out, so that was their backdoor pilot, and then he was able to continue the year 0 story. So yeah, we'll wrap up year 0 the next episode, and then I don't even know what we'll move on to post year 0.
The next few issues.
Oh, which I think is Endgame. Oh shit, Endgame.
Oh boy.
Endgame is the title of the next arc.
I am inevitable.
Right?
I am Batman.
And it's funny, right? When one of the things before they revealed the name of the Avengers movie, we thought Endgame, but we're like, nah, it's too generic, man. You know how many shit that was the final movie they call Endgame? Now it's just like, it's like the new Forever, right? Batman Forever, this Forever, or Returns, that returns, this person returns. Endgame is like right there as well, and he was like, all right, should we
I think Endgame is the name of the final mission in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. Wasn't there... What other movie did they call Endgame? I think Highlander Endgame, right? No? Highlander?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. That was like probably one of the first things I ever known that was Endgame. And it does sound like a cool title. Endgame.
Like, I don't know it for a fact, but I just know it's true that there is a movie called Hellraiser Endgame.
Yes.
I don't know it for a fact.
I think there is. I
just know it's true.
I think there is. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool title, but then it ran its course, I think, and that's why I think we all thought they couldn't possibly call it Endgame, even though the evidence was there since Avengers 2.
Avengers Resurrection.
Right? Some people thought Avengers Forever, ironically enough.
Oh, God. That's so corny.
Oh, my God. Was there the Crow Endgame? Let's see.
Like, again, I don't know it for a fact, but I know it's true. There is a movie called The Crow Endgame. Ratchet and Clank Endgame. Metal Gear Solid Endgame. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Endgame.
Right. Uncharted Endgame.
Oh, yeah. Uncharted 5 Endgame.
In space.
Resurrection.
Alright, that brings us to the end of this show. Where can people reach you, Zach?
You can find me at my name, Zach Wojner, on Twitter, and you can read my work at screenrant.com. And I know I haven't been streaming enough. Been so busy working and doing a lot of other crazy stuff, some of which I'll be able to talk about soon, some of which I may never be able to talk about.
Right.
But I promise I'll get back to streaming soon. I'm almost done with The Last of Us, and I'll be streaming The Last of Us Part 2 one of these days, hopefully starting this week. Yeah,
well, I'm doing my playthrough on YouTube only. I'll be posting episode 2 maybe tomorrow. I had to take a break because, oh my God, that shit was too heavy. Yeah, it's heavy.
Wow.
It's heavy. So expect that. Expect more. Also, I will. You can reach me on Uncharted. Did I say Uncharted? You can reach me on Instagram. Pop Culture.
We're all tired.
Yeah, at Pop Culture, you can also reach me on Facebook at Pop Culture as well, and on Twitter at Marky Tundra. And don't forget to hit that subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitch, which we're streaming live on right now. Orlando will. You mean Batman Unchained, or do you mean Superman Unchained? I never know there was a Batman Unchained. Oh, you mean the canceled movie, Batman Unchained? Okay, maybe, but no, we're just talking about comics here. But there's a Superman Unchained, which is a dope story. If you have it, Zach, on the DC app, you should look at it. It's
okay. Superman Unchained.
Yeah, which is also written by Scott Snyder and drawn by Jim Lee. Oh my God, Jim Lee is just amazing.
Wait, how long is it?
I think it's like 10 issues, maybe. I think.
Okay. As long as it's not like another 50 issue.
Oh no. The next 50 issue thing we'll probably be tackling is Green Lantern.
Okay.
But
love Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. But Superman Unchained is really dope. Like, when I was reading it, I was kind of reading it like a movie. Like, if this was a movie, this would have been one of the dopest movies ever. And it has Batman in it, and it has Wonder Woman in it. So it would have been like pretty dope if this was a movie. Anyway, so that brings us to the end. So until next time, folks, I want to say peace.
Indeed.